We often used to say the Quran support the Big Bang theory of creation of the universe. But verses that we used to refer had some problem. There are some points of the verses that were misfit to the science. I will show you the verses and also explain how the James Webb is solving the problem. Recently sent James Webb telescope is solving the problem. Gradually it is exposing that it happened exactly as the Quran says. Universe was created exactly as the Quran says. So I will take the help of a PowerPoint. This is the PowerPoint. James Webb telescope and the Quran. This is the Big Bang model of the universe. It is showing open universe concept. Open universe means the universe that expands forever. Universe is expanding, so study it was smaller than today. In this way, if one goes towards the past, about 13.8 billion years ago, he will find that universe was in a point. This point at the beginning of the universe is called Big Bang or singularity. Singularity at the beginning of the universe is called Big Bang. Singularity is actually a point of it is a superhead point, super hot, super dense point. You can say point of space-time, but singularity has no length, breadth and height. So space was not there. It is a point with infinite temperature and density. This is density line. This is the line of time. This is the Hubble's constant. Now we used to refer this verse mainly to mention that the Quran supports the Big Bang origin of the universe. Do not the unbelievers see that the skies and lands were joined together? It's telling about a state of unity. Before we clove them asunder, this clove them asunder indicate the Big Bang. We used to mean that it is talking about Big Bang, and this joined together indicate that universe started from a singularity and it started from a Big Bang. This verse we used to refer. Then there is another verse, this one, it is he who has created for you all things that are on lands. These lands means earth. Sometimes these land is translated as earth, but it can be translated as land. Land or lands is both singular and plural. Planet Earth is a land. Jupiter is a land, Mars is a land, any star is a land. So we can say total matter of the universe was created at the beginning. Quran says, Fil arde jamian. Jamian means assembly. Assembly of lands means all the matter of the universe or all the stars and planets of the universe. So it is talking about all the matter of the universe which was created at the beginning. Then he turned to the sky and made them into 7 skies. Then he made the sky into 7 skies. To some extent in Big Bang origin. We used to refer these verses mainly. But there were problems. Problem is this one, land. Those who has knowledge on cosmology, they used to catch there. This land, I have already said, sometimes is translated as earth. Then what the verse then means? Do not the unbelievers see that the skies and earth were joined together before we clove them asunder? It means earth was created before the skies. Skies means universe. In the Quran, skies means universe. Samawat means universe. Here this verse is meaning that the universe was created before the earth, or this universe and earth were created together. This is meant. Then again this land can be translated as earth as well, and it means that all matter of the universe was created at the beginning of the universe. But we know after the Big Bang only hydrogen and helium was created. According to the sign, hydrogen and helium was created. There were 75% hydrogen and 25% helium. Then after for a long time, no other element was created. Universe just expanded with this hydrogen and helium. Subsequently, stars produced, and within those stars, heavier elements were created. However, there is another verse that talk about these gases. We can refer this one. Moreover, he did istawa into the sky while it had been smoke. We can somehow say that smoke means mixture of hydrogen and helium, and there were small amounts of other gases as well. So one can say this hydrogen and helium means smoke. But in reality, smoke means something where there is dust of carbon. If there is no carbon, you cannot call it smoke. Smoke means powder of carbon should be mixed with the gases. Smoke means carbon, but there was no carbon at the beginning of the universe. So this verse could also be refuted. So all these verses had some problem. These verses had lands, and these verses had problem of smoke. Now James Webb telescope has come, and these problems are all being solved. How these problems are being solved, I will discuss in this video. This is the periodic table. Periodic table, here you can see hydrogen. This is the simplest form of matter created out of one proton and one electron. It was created at first just after the Big Bang. Then 25% hydrogen turned into helium. This is second element, helium. These two elements was there, hydrogen and helium. Now Quran says there was smoke. It means in this hydrogen and helium there was powder of fine carbon. Carbon was also created. Then we have to say up to carbon was created after the Big Bang. Means helium, lithium, barium, up to carbon. Number 6 element was created. Number 6 up to carbon was created after the Big Bang. Whether it is true or not, scientists say up to helium was created, but Quran indicate that carbon was created. Achha. Then again, in another two verse, it say land was created. To create the lands, you need silicon and oxygen to make the silicates. This sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, and this oxygen, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon. These things could create the lands, dust and asteroids. Primitive lands could be created. So if we can prove that after the Big Bang, these elements up to silicon was created, then all the problems get solved. If up to the silicon was created, then we get smoke in the gas, and we get lands. Lands means dust and asteroids in the starting point. So whether the Big Bang could produce up to silicon, elements up to silicon or not, that is the question. Now, many of the people who are watching this video do not have idea about the universe. So I talk about the universe from some basic knowledge is I am giving just 2 to 3 minutes. This is a galaxy. Our solar system is located here. This location of the solar system. This galaxy is called Milky Way Galaxy. There are 100 billion galaxies, 100 billion stars. There are 100 billion stars in these galaxies. 100 billion. From one side to another side, this galaxy is 100,000 light years across. Now this is the Milky Way Galaxy. The universe is full of galaxies. There are 170 billion large galaxies in the visible universe. There are many small galaxies, but large galaxies are there. 170 billions in the visible universe. Like this. Galaxies are called Mawakin Nuzumi in the Quran. This is a galaxy also. This is a galaxy, you can see. It is like the Milky Way Galaxy, spiral galaxy. And this is called Mawakin Nuzumi. But now I swear by the houses of stars. Houses, statue, this is Mawakin. Mawakin in Arabic, statue means house. And Nuzumi means stars. So Mawakin Nuzumi means houses of stars. So this Mawakin Nuzumi or houses of stars mean galaxies. Somebody translate it as a whole and explain it as black hole also. But a straight translation of this word is house of stars. And galaxies are house of stars. Stars do not remain haphazardly in the space. They remain concentrated into the galaxies. These galaxies are their house. They rotate around the center of the galaxies. So this is houses of stars. Means galaxies. These galaxies, in the Quran, galaxy is called a sheep as well. In this verse, it is not permitted to the sun to outstrip the moon, nor can night outstrip the day, but all in a sheep. The sun, moon are in a sheep. This sheep means Milky Way Galaxy. They are floating. This sheep means Milky Way Galaxy. Falak means space, and falakin is translated as sheep. But falakin can be translated as a small piece of space. That means it is a point where galaxies are located. A small space. Or you can call it a spaceship, which is carrying the stars. In another verse also, it is called sheep. It is He who created the night and day, and the sun and moon, each in a ship, they are floating. Then another verse, so verily I call to witness the receding ships. Receding ships means receding galaxies. From the earth, all the distant galaxies are receding. Receding in all direction and in all depths. The galaxies are receding. So the scientists say that the universe is expanding. But recession of the galaxies cannot be seen easily, because if something moves sideways, it can be seen easily. But if it is receding straight backward, they look fixed. But so the galaxies are receding straight backward, so it took time for the scientists to discover. It was discovered by Edwin Hubble in 1920s. He discovered that galaxies were receding. Receding, so they are disappearing. So verily I call to witness the receding ships, receding galaxies disappearing. They are receding, so they are disappearing. Go straight and hide. Their recession is not easily visible because they go straight backward, receding straight backward and hiding. Their light is not coming to the earth. If their light of all the galaxies would come to the earth, there would be 40,000 times brighter light than the sun at noon. There would be no night and day. So the verse says, and the night as it dissipates, and the dawn as it breathes away the darkness. So there is day and night. This is known to scientists as Olbert's paradox. However, galaxies are mentioned in the Quran as Ma'akin Nuzumi mainly. It is clear, houses of stars. It is said 1400 years ago, Quran talked about galaxies as houses of stars, which is the galaxies are discovered only in 1920s. Now, what are the matter that composes a star? It can be found out by this spectrum. A light is passed through this prism, and when crossing the medium, the light changes direction, and finally, after twice changing the direction twice, it come out as a spectrum. Because the blue light has got higher frequency, so shorter wavelength, so it bends more, and the red light has got lower frequency, so longer wavelength, so it bends less, so it makes a spectrum. And absorption of this spectrum, from the absorption of this spectrum, one can understand the elements with which a star is composed of. I read from here, when light passes through a gas, atoms and molecules in the gas absorb certain colors. These are absorption lines. This is sodium. These are absorption lines. Sodium, if there are a lot of sodium in a star, it will absorb this color, and this color. So these are absorption line of sodium. Now, once the sodium is heated, it will also glow, and when it glow, it will emit the same light. So this is emission line. Same thing he will emit when the sodium will be glowing. These two, absorption and emission, in unity is called emission spectra. The same gas can glow, giving off very specific colors to form the emission spectrum. This is called emission spectrum of the sodium. This is emission spectrum of nitrogen. This is emission spectrum of hydrogen. Now, from these emission spectrums, we can understand the composition of a star. Composition of a star. Now, the sun, our sun, it has got hydrogen 74.9%, helium 23.6%, oxygen 1%, though it seems very less. Carbon 0.3%, neon 0.2%, though it seems very less, but this is very effective for maintaining the stability of the sun, because these are heavier elements. It falls down into the core where the fusion takes place. So it balances the rate of fusion of the sun. So the sun is a durable star. It is giving light for last 5 billion years, and it will give light again for another 5 billion years, because the sun has different element in it. Moreover, sun is a medium sized star. If it was a big star, it would have a high pressure in the core. In that case, core would produce more temperature, and the rate of producing fusion reaction would be more, and the sun would burn rapidly, and it would complete its life cycle quickly. But it doesn't do it because it is a medium sized star, number one. Number two, it has got enough heavier elements which maintains the balance in the core, so that the fusion reaction in the core remains in a state of balance. So these type of stars, these are called main sequence stars. The sun is a main sequence star, and these are second generation star. These are second generation star. First generation star was created when the universe was very young. Those were very big stars, So they had very high pressure in the core. So fusion reaction in the core was very high. The stars ran through their life cycle rapidly and exploded. The sun and the earth originated from the same debris. Earth has got 93 types of elements. However, the sun has got only few types, but earth has got 93 types of elements. Now, how the universe was created, as the scientists used to say before the Webb telescope was sent, now they are to change their idea. But I am explaining the old concept. Just concept they flourished just before the Webb telescope. It is actually still there. The scientists say that at the beginning there was Gauss force. Gauss force is grand unified theory force. This Gauss force divided, and three fundamental forces appeared. Those were strong force, weak force, and electromagnetic force, magnetic force. These three forces appears. These three forces are required. They make the atoms. Now only these forces cannot make the atom. Subatomic particles also are required. So scientists say these elementary subatomic elementary particles was produced during inflation, and there was particles and antiparticles, matter annihilated antiparticles, and these fundamental particles produce the quarks and up quark and down quark, electron and neutrinos, and group of muon and group of tau. So these subatomic fundamental particles, they produced the proton and neutron. Then proton and neutron produced hydrogen and helium. There was 75% hydrogen. Initially there were 100% hydrogen. Later 25% hydrogen turned into helium. The scientists say the elements heavier than helium could not be produced, because could be produced, but it could not survive because of high temperature of the universe. Subsequently, universe became cold and new elements could not produce. So at this stage, according to their calculation, only hydrogen and helium could be produced. But according to the Quran, we may predict that elements up to carbon was produced. Elements up to carbon, number 6, not up to number 2. Elements up to carbon was produced, because God says, moreover he looked into the sky and it has been smoke. So with hydrogen and helium there were more elements, and up to carbon was created here. But scientists say it is hydrogen and helium only. We will subsequently discuss it later. Now at that time universe was very hot, so electrons could not join with the atoms. They were moving freely, so it was a plasma of nuclei and electrons. After about 380,000 years, universe became cold, and electrons joined with the nucleus, and real hydrogen and helium produced. Hydrogen and helium are transparent elements, and they do not produce light, emit light, so universe became dark. There was nothing in the universe, there was no star at that time to produce light. So this universe full of hydrogen and helium was dark. So it is dark age. Subsequently the due to irregularities, big, large stars formed. Scientists say large stars formed. But in a uniform space, there is no way one can explain how the gases concentrated into stars. We do not see on the Earth that air is concentrating on USA and London. In the middle of Atlantic, there is no air, so people in the ships are dying. We do not say gases concentrating somewhere. They remain distributed uniformly throughout the space. But scientists say the helium and hydrogen, they concentrated into stars somehow, and large stars formed. Very large stars formed, and as they were very big stars, pressure in their core was very high, and they burned rapidly and produced other elements like this. And star produced fusion reaction in the core, so new elements are produced in the core and deposited into the core. The hydrogen produces helium, helium produces carbon, carbon produces oxygen. Just after helium, carbon is produced. Carbon and oxygen are produced. Carbon, oxygen produce sodium, neon, magnesium, and then likewise silicon. Now these elements are deposited in different layers. Finally, in the big stars, uranium, radioactive elements like uranium is produced, and if it is produced in enough quantity, the star explodes. This explosion is called supernova explosion, and these elements that are produced throughout these ages are scattered in the space. With these elements, the second generation stars like the sun or planet like the earth can be produced. So these matter then gather in small irregular galaxies. Now these small irregular galaxies formed with enough heavy materials, then gradually they joined, the small irregular galaxies joined with each other, and they produce big stars. Now if it happened very rapidly, then minimum 1 billion years was necessary to come to the stage of big galaxies with stable stars. This is it took 400 million years. Then the big galaxies those we find in the present universe, and the stable stars like the sun, and the planet like the earth full of different kind of elements, could start producing minimum after 1 billion years. But what the James Webb telescope is saying, James Webb telescope is saying that when the age of the universe was only 180 million years, not 1 billion. 1 billion means 1,000 million. But only after 180 million years, universe produced big galaxies with stable stars. How it was possible? How universe produced big galaxies with stable stars within so short time? That is the question. Here comes the Quran. To understand how it was created, what the Quran says about this matter, we have to know the Quran's model of the universe at first. Quran's model of the universe. Quran says the same universe produced from a big bang. It supports the idea. This is the singularity, Big Bang 1. Then there are verses, do not the unbelievers see that the skies and lands were joined together before we clove them asunder. So we find that universe started from a state of unity, probably through a big bang. As it says, we clove them asunder. because we put this in question, because it talk about lands. Whether we do not know whether this verse is talking about this point or some other points. So we put it in question. Then come next part. What the Quran says. Scientists says that the universe may expand forever. They say it open universe model. They say the universe may collapse, start contracting due to gravitational force, and if it start contracting, it will contract in overwhelming speed, and finally it will collapse. It may bounce out due to excessive pressure and temperature. It may bounce out from a fireball, which is called big bounce, or it may collapse into a point which is called big crunch. Now this point at the end of the universe is called big crunch, but it is also a kind of singularity. Actually this is a singularity, it is also a singularity. Singularity at the beginning of the universe is called Big Bang. Singularity at the end of the universe is called big crunch. This big crunch, the Quran support the idea of big crunch, as it said, on the day when we will roll up the skies. So Quran also says that universe will be rolled up, like the rolling up of the scroll for writing. This is said in the Holy Bible also, that the universe will be rolled up. So Quran, Bible, all the book of God, they support that universe will collapse. Those scientists say that the universe may expand forever. Some scientists suggest for flat universe also, that expand for a very long time and may collapse after a long period of time. However, the Quran and the Bible straight away say it will collapse. So we will discuss this model. Universe will collapse into a state of big crunch. Now, then what will happen? This is from the big crunch. Big crunch is a singularity. Quran says that from the big crunch a new universe will be born. This we may call Big Bang 2. Actually this is a singularity, so it may produce the Big Bang 2. So this universe will be created again. It is said, as we originated the first creation, Allah originated the first creation, we shall reproduce it. That is second creation from the big crunch. A promise on us, surely we will bring it about. So Quran support this model of the universe. So though this is a cyclic model of cyclic model, and many scientists will tell that cyclic model do not need a creator. Yes, they can say the cyclic model do not need a creator, but Allah says He originated the first creation. Allah created the universe at the beginning of this cycle, and He will create this universe again from here. As we originated the first creation, Allah created the first creation. Though the universe is cyclic, we will reproduce it. So there will be a second creation. A promise on us, surely we will bring it about. If you read the Quran deliberately, you will find this new universe is actually hell. Galaxies are objects of hell. There will be final judgment on a specially created land in the super space, from where after the judgment sinners will be thrown back into this universe, and the good people will be shifted to another universe called Jannat. A sinner will get a complete galaxy. He will rule over the galaxy as the vicegerent of the God, but in punishment, as forgotten vicegerent of God, and he will have many helpers from the jinns. That is religious part, but we find from the book of science that science support this point. Quran also talk about this point. Science support this point. Quran talks about this point. Though there are some things that those are not matching so far. Now, what the Quran actually says? Quran actually says we are living in the second cycle of the universe. To know the complete model of the universe that is supported by the Quran, we have to know about discuss some more verses. This is the verse. Do not the unbelievers see that the skies and lands were joined together? This means there was land or heavier elements. So this universe started from a big bounce, not from a big crunch or a big bang. Big Bang produced hydrogen and helium, maybe up to carbon. But this verse says there were lands, means heavier elements. Elements at least up to silicon was there in this point. Dust and asteroids were there in this point. So this universe started from a big bounce. There is another verse. It is He who has created for you all things that are on lands. On lands means all the matter for the stars and planets were created, and then the universe. Then he turned to the sky. Sky means universe with uniform space. Single sky universe means universe with uniform space, and made them into 7 skies. So this 7 sky universe means universe with webbed space. I will discuss the skies again. Now this is the point. This verses suggests that universe started from a big bounce. There was another cycle. So this is second cycle. Galaxies formed in the skies. So there was a previous cycle of the universe. In the previous cycle, smoke was created. Scientists say matter up to helium was created, but according to the Quran, we have to say that matter up to carbon was created. So there was powder of carbon in the helium and hydrogen, so it was a smoke. So a smoke was created through the from the Big Bang. Now from the Big Bang, smoke was created, and this universe expanded and contracted and restarted from a big bounce. Restarted from a big bounce when this single sky universe turned into 7 sky universe. Moreover, he did istawa into the sky while it had been smoke. So smoke was created from the Big Bang 1. At that time, Allah did istawa into the sky. Istawa into the sky. What is istawa? We have to discuss a little bit about the istawa. Istawa means infusing and taking over. Means we know from the Quran and Bible that God has a form. He looks like a human. From the Quran we know He lives in the Arsh. Arsh is a universe beyond this universe. So Allah looks like a human. He has a form like a human. He lives in the Arsh located beyond the universe. Now Allah is like a human, but He has a very powerful soul. Soul. This soul is called nafs in the Quran. Soul and nafs. Nafs means in the Arabic it is called nafs, and in English it is called soul. I will call it nafs. Allah has a powerful nafs. What is nafs? Nafs is a composite force field. Composite force field. A nafs or soul is created with known and unknown force fields. For example, we can say the nafs of atom is created with 3 force fields. Those are magnetic force, weak nuclear force, and strong nuclear force. These 3 force fields create the nafs or soul of an atom. Now, nafs is a composite force field. Then what is this strong nuclear force field? Strong nuclear force field is a force field, and if you want to call it from religious point of view, it should be called ruh. Ruh is a elementary force field. A magnetic force field is a ruh. Weak nuclear force field is a RU. It acts as command. It acts as command. This force field command different things to act as needed. The force field works as command. And when these 3, 4, 5 force field jointly make a system, that is called knobs. Knobs hold a system like 3 force field, like strong nuclear force field, weak nuclear force field, and magnetic force field jointly makes the soul of the atom and sustain the system. Likewise, me, I have a knobs, maybe that is created with 30 force field. Those force fields are not yet discovered. The force fields that are creating my knobs is not yet discovered, but it is there. My emotion is the expression of the force field of my knobs, emotions. Then I have got a special force field given directly by God. It is called RU, but it is a special RU given by God. That special RU connect with my chest, and it can act on my nerves and brain. It makes a virtual brain. This RU makes a virtual brain extended into the chest. So this virtual brain is called mind. So I have a special RU directly given by God, which makes my mind, and I have a nerves maybe created out of 30 force field. It gives my emotions, and it keep me living. Likewise, God also has got powerful soul or knobs. Now, his knobs may be composed of 99 force fields, known and unknown. Now, his force field is very powerful, though he looks like a human, but force field doesn't require any space to exist. Huge force field can go into a point, like universe started from a point. Huge God force that has created the universe was in a point. So force field is not dependent on a space. It can go into the point. So likewise, the soul of God is hugely powerful, but it remains in his body. Now Allah somehow extended several of his force field, maybe 10-15 force field, as his hands. He has got 99 force field in his soul, in his body, but from that 99 he may have extended 19, or he may have extended 15 force field as his hand. Now this hand is not his physical hand. He has got hand of knobs or hand of soul. This hand of soul is composed of maybe 15-20 force fields. With right hand of his soul, he sustained this universe, and with the left hand of his soul, he sustained the Arsh and the Jannat, another universe. He is like a human with 2 hands, but he has got hands of force fields. Hands of force field. Maybe his right hand is composed of 15 force fields. Now, initially when he created the universe, he extended maybe 12 force field. That quantum scientists of quantum physics, they say the fields that fields that produces the fundamental particles, fundamental subatomic particles, quantum fields. Now these quantum fields may be his force field of his hand. Now initially Higgs field is a force field of his hand, right hand. With right hand he is sustaining the universe. So now we can again discuss this Istawa. So moreover, he did Istawa into the sky while it has been smoke. Now we may assume that at this stage a smoke was created. How the smoke was created? Initially he did Istawa of his quantum force field the hand, his hand, right hand comprised of quantum force field mainly. So fundamental particles produced and the atoms produced up to carbon, and the universe produced smoke. Now he saw universe is full of smoke. Then he, through his hand, he infused another force field, that is gravitational force field. This infusion of gravitational force field is said in this verse. So when it has been smoke, he infused gravitational force field through his hands. Now what the gravitational force field did, that is said in the next part of the verse. He said to it and to the lands. Now the lands come ye together willingly or unwillingly. Once the gravitational force field was infused into the universe, in the sky, means single sky universe of uniform space, the universe started contracting, and universe started contracting, and it produced elements up to silicon. So at this stage, the universe was full of smoke and dust of heavier elements and asteroids. Land was created. So he did istawa into the smoke. So universe gravitational force was infused. So universe started to contract, and in the process of contraction, universe produced elements up to silicon, which produced dust and asteroids. So he said to it and to the lands, this smoke, dust and asteroids, come ye together willingly or unwillingly. So he called them because he infused the gravitational force. They said, we do come in willing obedience. So they are matter is also obedient. They said we come in willing obedience. So law of inertia came into effect. So he completed them as 7 skies in 2 days. These 7 skies, he transformed this single sky universe into 7 sky universe. So there was a big bounce. Here. Now, what is this 7 sky? 7 sky, how he created this sky? He distributed the matter, he called the matter, and he distributed in 7 spherical layers. So one sky universe became 7 sky universe. You can see, he said to it, means smoke, and to the lands, come here together willingly and unwillingly. They came in willing obedience. So he completed the 7 skies. Means he distributed the matter into 7 spherical layers. As the matter was distributed in 7 spherical layers, according to the Einstein theory, we know the space got webbed into 7 spherical webs. Now at this point, space was webbed into 7 spherical webs. A single sky universe was webbed into 7 spherical webs, and it was expanding. As the universe was expanding rapidly, so the matter concentrated into galaxies quickly and formed the galaxies. Now, if I say again from the beginning, at the beginning of the universe, hydrogen and helium was created, but we say that we may say, we will discuss further on this matter. Matter up to carbon was created. Then Allah infused gravitational force, universe contracted and produced matter up to silicon, and the universe contracted, and due to immense temperature and pressure, it restarted from a big bounce. During the big bounce, the single sky universe with uniform space turned into 7 sky universe. These 7 skies are webs of space, spherical webs of space, one inside another, like the peels of onion. And in every sky there are many galaxies. So as the skies were expanding rapidly, matter concentrated into galaxies quickly. This is what the verses of the Quran dictate us to presume. Now then what happens? Third cycle, I have already discussed, the universe will, according to the verses of the Quran, it will collapse into big crunch. Here it will collapse into big crunch. Here it did not collapse into big crunch, because God says He will roll up the skies. And in another verse he says only His face will be surviving. Everything will be annihilated. Only His face will be surviving. Means His hands of His soul will be seized into His body. The power exposing from His face or third eye will be sustaining this point, big crunch. Now He will reprogram this universe and reinitiate it. So it will be a Big Bang 2, like the Big Bang 1. But at this point, universe did not go into point. It was full of lands. Skies and lands were joined together at this stage. It was not a big singularity, but this point will be a singularity. From the singularity, after there will be a specially created land where there will be a judgment. Good people will be salvaged to another universe named Jannat. Bad people will be thrown back into this universe. With this universe, they will not die. This universe will evolve, and the sinners will be scattered in the galaxies to rule forever as forgotten vicegerent of God. Quran says again, in future this universe will also end, because Quran says about the sinners that they will be living in the hell for all the time. The skies and lands endure. It means it will again collapse. So that what will happen after that collapse, it is not said in the Quran. Quran talk about these 3 cycles. So, in light of the Quran, we can presume Big Bang produced elements up to silicon, and during collapse it produced elements at least up to Big Bang produced elements up to carbon. Then during collapse, the universe produced single sky universe, produced elements up to silicon. Then during big bounce, the space got webbed into skies, and in this sky galaxies could quickly form, and the universe is expanding, and in future it will again collapse. This is the model of the Quran. I read the verse. I have already discussed, on the day when we will roll up the skies, these skies, like the rolling up of the scroll for writings. As we originated the first creation, we shall reproduce it. First creation was from the Big Bang 1. We shall reproduce it. Means there will be a Big Bang 2. A promise on us, surely we will bring it about. Now what the James Webb is saying. What the James Webb is saying, I will show it from this video. He's a scientist. Listen to him for 3-4 minutes.
In this case, this was discovered using a slightly different survey known as SEERS. And from what they've discovered so far, they think this is a highly active galaxy forming a lot of stars, but located in a region where nobody expected, much earlier in the existence of the universe. So definitely, once again, something that the scientists did not expect to find. With this other study we've discussed previously, even finding at least a few galaxies at what seems to be the redshift of 20, which would place them around 180 million years after the formation of the universe. But more importantly, a lot of them seem to also be shaped like disks, which is really unexpected because it's always been believed that disk-shaped galaxies or spiral galaxies would take much longer to produce. Yet the study right here did discover a lot of disk shapes at relatively faraway distances, something that's I guess slightly better visible in these images produced by the James Webb. Now obviously these are not super high quality images, but they do resemble typical disk shapes or typical spiral galaxies. Here are some of the more distant ones discovered in this study. And for astronomers, this is really unexpected, mostly because of the previous observations from the Hubble telescope. When the scientists started using Hubble, they essentially concluded that a lot of distant galaxies are mostly irregular shaped because of the way that they believed galaxies form. And it would actually take a few 100 million years for galaxies like the Milky Way to start forming. And to some extent, the computer simulations from the last few decades have also proved this to be correct. Galaxies start as irregular and eventually form into disks. This does take a few 100 million years. But that's not what the observations from the James Webb seem to suggest. There seem to be up to 10 times as many distant disk galaxies as initially thought. And many of them already have relatively stable shapes. And currently, obviously, nobody knows why.
Bringing your ideas and innovations to the world means solving a lot of problems. And
Moreover, at least one other paper from just a couple of days ago has also discovered that a lot of massive galaxies formed much earlier in the universe than was previously believed. And specifically, they discovered that centers of various massive galaxies have already formed and were already stable approximately 500 million years after the universe began, with many of them to some extent resembling some of the galaxies we find not so far away from our own home right now. And it's not just the mass, the size, or the structure. Analysis of some of these early galaxies has already revealed that a lot of them were very rich in a lot of different complex elements, such as oxygen. And that's sort of unexpected because these complex chemical elements are sort of expected to appear a little bit later. Yet, surprisingly, a huge amount of these elements was discovered in some of these distant galaxies. The scientists expected to mostly find high help us understand, like this other study that you can find in the description discovered, why there are so many red spiral galaxies existing in the early universe, even though there are practically none in the universe today. In this case, red spiral galaxies are galaxies where there is practically no star formation at all, and there's also a lot of dust that ends up making a lot of light coming from the galaxies much redder than it would be otherwise. And so for all we know, there could be a completely new population of galaxies existing in the early universe that we didn't know existed until James Webb revealed them very recently. And so if a bunch of these unusual red galaxies existed in the early universe and no longer exist in the modern universe, well, that's another mystery to solve in some of the future studies. But shockingly enough, all of these discoveries have only been made in the last couple of weeks. Imagine what we're going to be seeing by the end of the year. James Webb seems to have already confused a lot of astronomers out there, and it's only going to be producing more data as the time goes on, which
now we know from his deliberation that galaxies formed within a few million years. The universe started. When the age of the universe was 180 million years only, there was big stable galaxies. This could form so quickly if the universe was webbed into skies. The matter was distributed in the webs of space. Then as the webs or skies expanded, the matter concentrated into galaxies. This is one point. Number two, these galaxies show that there were enough heavier elements in them. He has said there was complex elements. This can happen if the universe started from a big bounce, where the skies and lands were joined together, as the Quran says. So it is proved that universe started from a big bounce when it was layered into 7 skies. 7 webs of space, expanding webs of space, one inside another, like the peels of onion. Thirdly, there are red galaxies without any star formations. What is this red galaxies? These are primitive galaxies, very initial stage, when the stars have not yet formed. So it was full of gases. What are the gas? What was the gas? Hydrogen and helium only? Then why it is red? It was full of carbon. It was full of carbon. So these initial galaxies that has no stars is red. Webb telescope is showing lot of all the old, very primitive stars, galaxies, maybe 180 million years away from the Big Bang. These are red galaxies without any stars. Center was burning, but spiral arms were not burning. It was red. Temperature was red. So these arms was full of carbon. Carbon should be red, emitting red. Emission of carbon should be red. If it glows, it should glow red light. So it was full of carbon. So from the Big Bang, we can say elements up to carbon was produced. Or so elements up to carbon was produced. So there was hydrogen, helium up to carbon. So when God looked at the universe to infuse gravitational force field through his hand, same hand, through his hand he infused quantum fields. Now he is going to infuse gravitational force field through his same hand, quantum fields. In his palm the universe took birth. Then in the same hand he infused gravitational force field, while it had been smoke, means there was carbon. Now once the gravitational force field was infused, the universe started revolving. So the revolving universe as a whole is revolving. So we do not see the revolution of the universe. We are living inside, so we can not feel the revolution. But universe as a whole started revolving, and the universe was revolving and collapsing. It produced elements up to silicon. Ultimately, universe collapsed and it restarted from a big bounce. When during the big bounce, skies and lands were joined together. But big bounce was rotating, revolving. So through a big bounce, seven sky universe has been formed. It is a revolving seven sky universe. As it is a revolving seven sky universe, this revolution has been imparted in the galaxies. So galaxies also revolve. And due to the skies and the overall revolution of the universe, the galaxies, the revolving galaxies quickly formed. Universe expanded, was revolving and expanding. This is the universe. It revolves as a whole in the superspace, in the palm, on the palm of the hand of his soul, and it expands. This is the universe. Now, one day God said he will roll up the skies. The same way he will roll up the skies. How? The rolling will be from opposite direction. Maybe it is rolling. Maybe this is the hand of God, his soul, hand of God, hand of his soul, not his physical hand. And the universe is rotating and expanding in his palm. Now when he will collapse the universe, he has said he will roll up the skies. So that rolling will be maybe in clockwise rolling, or the universe may be rolling at present clockwise and expanding. At that time it may collapse and start rolling anti-clockwise. Now in one of the verses of the Quran, it says the universe is already collapsing from the outermost sky. That verse we will also see. So universe, maybe seventh sky is collapsing and revolving in opposite direction and collapsing. Subsequently, sixth sky started collapsing and rolling in opposite direction, and fifth sky started collapsing and rolling in opposite direction. Maybe up to third sky is revolving and expanding yet, or in a stable condition up to third sky. It has not yet started rolling in opposite direction. So we see some of the galaxies right-handed, some of the galaxies left-handed. Maybe outer galaxies are left-handed or right-handed, and the inner galaxies are right-handed or left-handed. The verse I will show subsequently, where the Quran says the universe is already collapsing from the outlying border. Now I have talked about James Webb and how the Quran should be considered as the 100% true, because James Webb is proving the Quran true. Now the USA is planning to send another James Webb telescope after about 10 years. Maybe its name will be different, but the same thing he will send bigger one, and then we will know more clearly. Then the Quran is 100% true. There will be no different. Scientists will have only one way open to explain the creation of the universe as it is said in the Quran. This is science, this is Quran. Now science is proven wrong because it needed, in this model, it needed minimum 400 million years to form the primitive irregular galaxies or big galaxies, you may say. This is and at this stage, maybe after 5, 6, 7 billion years, the big galaxies, stable galaxies could start forming. This is the science says. This model of science is proven wrong. However, many scientists say that universe started from a big bounce, but that big bounce theory is not developed so much. The Big Bang theory is developed, amply developed, and there are many computer simulation. Many scientists are working on this. So this theory is well developed, but it is proven that it needs development, massive development, according to the observation of the Webb, of James Webb telescope. And if the development is done in correct attitude, you will find that it exactly supports the verses of the Quran. So this is wrong, and heavier elements up to silicon was there during big bounce, at least up to silicon, and space was waved into skies here. So we know Big Bang produced, we have discussed Big Bang produced up to carbon, proven by red galaxies, most distant red galaxies without any stars. So it had a lot of carbon. So the universe produced elements up to carbon, not elements up to helium. So moreover, Allah did istawa into the sky, single sky universe, when it has been smoke, hydrogen, helium, and elements up to carbon. Then the universe is revolving and it has got axis. When Allah did istawa into the sky, when He infused gravitational force into the universe started revolving and it produced an axis. The universe is revolving in the super space. The present cycle of the universe started from a big bounce, where there were elements at least up to silicon. The present cycle started from a big bounce. It is second cycle of the universe, and in the beginning of the second cycle, in the firebird, there was elements at least up to silicon that produce dust and asteroids, which is called land in the verses. The present universe is webbed into skies. As the present universe is webbed into the sky, it is revolving and it has got skies. So these rotating galaxies formed very quickly. The skies are webs of space, one inside another, like the peels of onion. Each sky has many galaxies. We see many galaxies revolving in opposite direction because the present universe is closing from the outlying border. From the seventh universe is already contracting from the seventh sky. This verse indicates that, but the verse is not clear. But I think this verse is indicating that universe already started collapsing. The day of judgment is close. Maybe up to fourth sky is collapsing. Soon the third sky will start collapsing. See they not that we gradually reduce the land. Land means all the galaxies of the universe scattered in the skies. From its outlying border, means seventh sky. From the seventh sky, universe is collapsing. Allah commands. There is none to put back His command. It started on command of God, and He is swift in calling to account. Means the day of judgment is coming. Which is the day of judgment? It is the point of big crunch, when the universe will collapse into a point, and the judgment will be when the resurrection of the universe will begin. The humans also will be resurrected. They will be gathered in a specially created land in the super space, from where good people will be shifted to another universe called Jannat, and sinners will be thrown into the galaxies of this universe. This is the overall story of the Quran. Also, you find these verses in the Bible, but Bible is very old and it is mixed up with many other deliberations. You find clearly in the Quran. So this is the model of the Quran, and this is being proved by James Webb telescope. Finally, may Allah bless USA for STEAM James Webb telescope, and may Allah develop their economy so that they can send another similar telescope as they plan in future soon. Allah Hafiz.